Hello everyone,
and welcome to Compassionate Communication. My name is Sam Gray,
and my name is Kayla Reed,
and we are graduate student speech and language pathologists here at Midwestern University in Glendale, Arizona, and this is a video series for our capstone project.
Many students in public schools have different types of disabilities and support needs. However, teachers and paraeducators often don't have enough resources to help them understand and support all types of communication, including nonverbal ways that kids may express themselves. There are few proven research-based tools and training programs that help teachers and school staff use neurodivergent friendly practices in the classroom.
To best support these students, educators need to learn a variety of communication skills and strategies. We have developed 6 easy-to-understand videos that aim to answer all the questions you may have about working with neurodivergent students and the resources to help you support them. Let's jump into video 5, how to balance the classroom climate and manage peer relationships. We often focus on academic support and behavior plans, but sometimes overlook the social environment, which is just as critical to a student's success and well-being. Today we'll go through 3 main areas: how to support peer interactions and prevent social isolation, how to educate the classroom about differences in a respectful and age-appropriate way, as well as what to do when a student experiences a meltdown or shutdown. Let's start with why neurodivergent students are at greater risk for social isolation in a school environment. It is not because they don't want to connect or participate with their peers. It's often due to differences in communication, processing speeds, or sensory needs that make typical peer interactions more complex. So how can you help? Start by providing structured opportunity for connection. This can be group work, a buddy system, or hosting lunch bunches. It's important to be intentional about who you're pairing up and pay attention to your students' interest. Pair students based on shared interest or complementary strengths, not just pairing them up based out of convenience. It's also important to coach peers on inclusive behaviors. For example, teach them how to offer help, invite others to join, or be patient with our friends' communication differences. That brings us to our next big question. How do I educate peers about some neurodivergent differences without singling out a student or making someone feel like they're getting a lecture? Start with universal education. You don't need to explain one student's specific diagnosis. Instead, teach your whole class about brain differences, sensory preferences, and diverse ways of communicating. Some great resources can be inclusive children's books, videos, and role-playing. Some of our favorites include All My Stripes, which is a book based about a child who was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, as well as What's Going On Inside My Head by Molly Potter. This is all about social, emotional, and regulation. On our website, you'll find some additional resources that can be used for similar tasks. It's important to avoid language like normal kids or high functioning. It creates harmful comparisons. Instead, you could say something along the lines of, we all have different strengths and challenges. Some of us think in pictures, some of us need breaks, and some of us use devices to speak. In general, you should focus on using person-first language, which means using language that focuses on the individual rather than the diagnosis. This aims to decenter the diagnosis and focus on an individual's strength and their own autonomy, which is the heart of our strength-based framework. If a child or a caregiver expresses a preferred way of being addressed, it is essential that you respect that. For example, there's been a recent shift from person-first language to identity-first language amongst people with autism. Many have expressed that they prefer the term autistic person as it is part of their identity that they embrace. It is important to know the difference and ensure that you use the correct and preferred language. Something that may also come into play in your classroom is if a child uses an AAC device and students and peers are unfamiliar with it. It is important to educate your peers about what AAC is and how they communicate with it. Some people talk with their voices, some people use sign language, some use pictures, words, or devices. None of these ways are better or worse, they're just different. It's also important to tell them you can talk to this child just as they do their other friends. Look at them when you speak and give them time to respond. Other children may often want to use, touch, or play on their peers' AAC device. It is important to educate them that this is not a toy and it does not have any games on it. Additionally, they should know that not to take or touch the device without asking permission first from their friend or the other student.
Now let's talk about something that teachers often ask. What should I do if a student melts down or shuts down during class? First, know the difference. A meltdown is an involuntary loss of emotional control, often caused by sensory overload, frustration, or dysregulation. A shutdown occurs when a student emotionally goes offline, becomes nonverbal, withdrawn, or dissociative. Neither are bad behavior, they're signs that their nervous system is overwhelmed. So what can you do? As a teacher, you can stay calm and reduce overwhelming stimuli by dimming the lights, softening your voice, and moving peers away. Avoid demanding questions like, "What's wrong?" because it can add pressure and extend or worsen the shutdown or meltdown. Offer co-regulation calming strategies that you've implemented before the crisis. Deep breathing, access to a quiet corner, or using sensory tools. Wait. Sometimes the most powerful tool is your presence without pressure. And after the moment passes, debrief. Not only with the student, but with the entire class. You might say, everyone gets overwhelmed sometimes. Some people need quiet. Some need movement. We all have different tools that help us. You're not only modeling behavior management, but also emotional intelligence and community care. The goal here isn't to fix or mask neurodivergent behavior. It's to shape the environment where all students feel seen, safe, and socially included. In this compassionate type of environment, you may find that meltdowns or shutdowns decrease over time. When you build that kind of climate, the whole class grows, not just the neurodivergent student. As you go back into your classrooms, remember that inclusion isn't a program, it's a practice. It's not about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions, staying curious, and working together. All resources mentioned in this video will be linked on our website, compassionate-communications.org. Now that we have covered how to balance classroom climate and manage peer relationships, our next video will cover the importance of collaboration in seeking support.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video.